Good evening, everyone. This is Sanju Sahu, and you are watching Sahu's tutorial. I hope that you are all well by the grace of Almighty, and you must be sailing in the sea of life by the grace of Almighty as well. Do join quickly for the rapid fire session here. Do join quickly. And in this YouTube video here, I will be covering some important MCQ questions, some PYQ questions of UGC NET English Literature exam. Do join quickly. I think everything is okay and I am clearly audible to everyone. Am I clearly audible to everyone? Please do let me know. Am I clearly audible to everyone? Yes, I think everything is okay now. Yes, do join quickly. Good evening, everyone. Heartily welcome once again to Sahu's tutorial English literature. Keep sharing with your friends. Do like, and we'll be discussing some important MCQ questions as well. The first question is John Osborne's "Look Back in Anger" was staged in which year? John Osborne's "Look Back in Anger", Look Back in Anger, the kitchen sink drama. John Osborne's "Look Back in Anger", okay, was staged in which year? 1954, 1953, 1955, 1956. In which year John Osborne's "Look Back in Anger" was staged? And every day there will be a mock test session, a kind of quiz session after 10 p.m. every day. Do answer. Look Back in Anger was staged for the first time in the year 1956. Remember that. This is a PYQ question. Okay. This question was also asked earlier in the previous exam. That Look Back in Anger, the kitchen sink drama by John Osborne. Which writer says that life is not a luminous halo, a semi-transparent envelope? Life is not a luminous halo, a semi-transparent envelope. Who said this famous line? Life is not a luminous halo, a semi-transparent envelope. Who said this line? Am I clearly audible? Will you please confirm? Am I clearly audible to everyone? The first question that I talked, that Look Back in Anger was staged for the first time in 1956, and the second question is that life is not a luminous halo, a semi-transparent envelope. Who spoke this line? It was, write it down, it was Virginia Woolf. It was Virginia Woolf who spoke this famous line. The Great Exhibition took place in which year? The Great Exhibition took in which year? The Great Exhibition took 1851, 1852, 1853, 1854. The Great Exhibition took place in which year? Question number 3. The Great Exhibition took place in 1851. In 1851. Who wrote The Man of Moat? Which Restoration dramatist wrote The Man of Moat, having the subtitles are Fuffling Flutter? Who wrote The Man of Moat? And that is the starting point of Restoration drama. Starting point of Restoration drama, The Man of Moat, was written by question number 3. Who wrote The Man of Moat? And that is the starting point of Restoration comedy. It is none other than George Etheredge. George Etheredge, The Man of Moat, having the subtitle Sir Fuffling Flutter. And this play is set in London, Restoration London, and follows the womanizer Dorimant. Dorimant is the main protagonist of The Man of Moat, Sir Fuffling Flutter. and he tries to win over the young heiress Harriet and to disengage himself from his affair with Mrs. Labuit. So, who is the main protagonist of the Man of Mode or the Sir Fopling Flutter? It is actually Doriment. Doriment is the main protagonist, and also remember the subtitle of this work, that is Sir Fopling Flutter. Okay, cover her face, mine eyes dazzle. She died young. This famous line occurred in which work of Renaissance dramatist, Renaissance dramatist. Cover her face, mine eyes dazzle. She died young. Keep answering and do like the session as well. Cover her face, mine eyes dazzle. She died young. This is also a PIQ question. These lines appear in which work? It is John Webster's The Duchess of Malfi. Okay, Duchess of Malfi. Who said? Who is the speaker? It is Ferdinand. Ferdinand is speaking these lines that cover her face. Whose face is this? Any idea? Whose face is this? Cover her face, mine eyes dazzle, she died young. This line was spoken by whom? It is spoken by Ferdinand in the work The Duchess of Malfi. Clear? God is referred to as the God is referred to as the president of immortals. God is referred to as the president of immortals. God is referred to as the president of immortals in which work of Dickens, in which work of D.H. Lawrence. God is referred to as president of immortals. In which work do we find that God is referred to as president of immortals? It is D.H. Lawrence Tales of the Dear Villas, where the God is referred to as president of immortals and having the subtitle a pure women, isn't it? Okay. That sweet city with the dreaming spires. Matthew Arnold is referring which city? That sweet city with her dreaming spires. That sweet city with dreaming spires. Which city is mentioned by Matthew Arnold? That sweet city with her dreaming spire. Which city is mentioned by Matthew Arnold? And this is actually, I'm giving a clue. This poem is an elegy on the death of his friend Arthur Henry Clough. We have famous elegies like Thyrsis by Matthew Arnold on the death of his friend Arthur Hugh Clough, and from that poem called Thyrsis, we find this famous line that sweet city with her dimming spires, and that sweet city is actually referring which city? Here it is. Which city is mentioned here? Keep answering. What are the other elegies, famous elegies? The elegy on Arthur Henry Hallam is named as what? The elegy on the death of Arthur Henry Hallam is known as In Memoriam, isn't it? So I was talking about thyresis, that is referring to Oxford. Okay, referring to Oxford. That line, that sweet city with the dreaming spires, is actually referring Oxford. And here Arthur Henry Hallam's, on the death of Arthur Henry Hallam, it was Lord Alfred Tennyson has written In Memoriam, published in 1850. And another work is Break, Break, Break. That is also an elegy on the death of his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. And Lycidas by Milton on the death of his friend Edward King. And Lycidas on the death of his friend Edward King. Clear now? The dictum the only connect is central to the writings of which writer? The dictum only connect is central to the writings of which writer? The only connect. The dictum only connect is associated with which writer? This is also a PYQ question. Only connect. Only connect. That is E.M. Forster. That is E.M. Forster, isn't it? Only connect is associated with E.M. Forster. Okay. How are you all? Why are not you answering in the comment box? Keep answering actually. Keep answering. Okay. Now the next question is that the making of English working class, famous work. The making of English working class. The making of English working class is a work by English social history. Is a work on English social history. Who wrote this work? The making of, write it down, this is a very famous work. The making of English working class. Who wrote this work? That is a work of English social history. This is actually a famous work. Who wrote this? It is Thompson. E.P. Thompson. E.P. Thompson has written the work, The Making of the English Working Class. Who gave the concept of readerly text and writerly text? Who gave the concept of readerly text and writerly text? Very, very important concept. Now, what is readerly text and what is writerly text? What is readerly text and what is writerly text? Readerly text is actually where reader is passively reading anything. Reader are passive. They are following the conventions. They are not actively participating in meaning making. That is the readerly text. Whereas writerly text, the readers are actively participating in the making of meaning. Readers are not passive. Readers are active. In writerly text, readers are active. They are actively participating and trying to make meaning. That is the writerly text. So readerly text and writerly text, these two concepts were given by the post-structuralist writer, that is Rolla Barthes. Rolla Barthes is considered as structuralist as well as post-structuralist. Okay. Clear? Now, next question is that who wrote, which Afro-American writer wrote The Invisible Man? Which Afro-American writer wrote The Invisible Man? The Afro-American writer who wrote The Invisible Man. Very important work actually. Very, very important work. Invisible Man by which Afro-American writer? One is, that is H.G. Wells. You have know all Invisible Man is a book by H.G. Wells. But here I am talking about the Afro-American writer, Invisible Man. This is the debut novel of that writer. It is who wrote Ralph Waldo Ellison. Ralph Waldo Ellison's debut novel, the famous opening novel on the debut novel of Ralph Waldo Ellison is actually Invisible Man. On the other hand, we have also a work by H.G. Wells in the same name, The Invisible Man. Okay, Invisible Man, one is by H.G. Wells, another work is by Ralph Waldo Ellison. And this is the debut novel of this Afro-American writer. He has also written Native Son. Okay, Native Son, Uncle Tom's Children was heavily influenced by the works of that is Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. Richard, no sorry, it's that is actually Richard Wright actually. Richard Wright, Native Son. Okay, it's Ralph Waldo Ellison has written Invisible Man, whereas Native Son and Uncle Tom's Children, these two works were written by Richard Wright. And Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel, that is Uncle Tom's Cabin, Uncle Tom's Cabin had influenced Richard Wright to write Uncle Tom's Children. And Native Son is also a very famous work, novel by Richard Wright, and it tells the story of 20-year-old beggar Thomas, a black youth living in utter poverty in poor area of Chicago's south side in the 1930s. So Richard Wright, the Afro-American writer, has written Uncle Tom's Children and Native Son. Native Son is the one of the famous novel written by Richard Wright, and it is the story of beggar Thomas, who is 20 years old. Tells the story of 20-year-old beggar Thomas, a black youth living in utter poverty in poor area of Chicago's south side. Okay, remember that. What is the subtitle of The Unfortunate Traveler by Thomas Nash? What is the subtitle of The Unfortunate Traveler, which is a picaresque novel published in 1594? So the life of Jack Wilton is the subtitle. The life of Jack Wilton is a subtitle of Thomas Nash's work, The Unfortunate Traveler. This is a picaresque novel published in 1594. Clear? 1594. Do like the session as well. Keep sharing with your friends. And you all know that Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. It is about the who is the main protagonist of this Invisible Man here by H.G. Wells. It's a science fiction novel, isn't it? Science fiction novel Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. And the Invisible Man to whom the title refers is Griffin. Griffin is the scientist. The Invisible Man here, Griffin, Griffin, the character Griffin appears in the science fiction novel by H.G. Wells called The Invisible Man. Griffin, a scientist who has devoted himself to research into optics. Okay. The Time Machine, The Island of Dr. Mario. Okay, these are important works by H.G. Wells, The Time Machine, The Island of Dr. Moreau. These are important works. Okay. Now the short story Prelude was written by whom? Which New Zealand writer has written the short story Prelude? Which New Zealand writer has written the short story Prelude? Prelude is a work by, you all know, but I am talking about here. I am talking about the short story Prelude. Who wrote the short story Prelude? It's Catherine Mansfield. Catherine Mansfield has also written the short story called Prelude. If you like the session, if you are enjoying the session, please do like the session. Keep sharing with your friends. So I told you that the Prelude is a short story by Catherine Mansfield. Okay. The Mystics of a Night is the subtitle of which work of Oliver Goldsmith? The Mystics of a Night is the subtitle of which work of Oliver Goldsmith? Very easy question. Even this is a PYQ question as well. Which work of Oliver Goldsmith is having the subtitle The Mystics of a Night? And it is actually She Stoops to Conquer. Probably this work was published in 1773 probably. Okay. That is She Stoops to Conquer. She Stoops to Conquer. Clear? The Old Playhouse is written by which Indian writer? The Old Playhouse is written by which Indian writer? The Old Playhouse. Tell me. Which confessional Indian poetess has written The Old Playhouse? And she has written the autobiography called My Story. So it is Kamala Das, The Old Playhouse. Okay. Who wrote Go Tell It on the Mountain? Go Tell It on the Mountain. Which Afro-American writer has written this work, Go Tell It on the Mountain? Even he has also written Giovanni's Room. Go Tell It on the Mountain, Giovanni's Room. These are two important novels by that Afro-American writer. Go Tell It on the Mountain and Giovanni's Room. These two works were written by whom? These two works were written by James Baldwin, the Afro-American writer James Baldwin. Okay, Baldwin. James Baldwin has written Go Tell It on the Mountain and Giovanni's Room. Okay. Now the next question is that Balutha is the autobiography of whom? Balutha, Balutha. Balutha is the autobiography of which writer? Which Dalit writer has written the autobiography called Balutha? This is from Dalit literature. Balutha. is a work. Balutha. Do answer Balutha. Baluta. Baluta. It was by whom? Baluta by its Daya Power. Daya Power's autobiography is Balutha. Baluta. Balutha was written by Daya Power, and this Balutha was translated into English by whom? It was translated into English by Jerry Pinto. Jerry Pinto has translated the work Balutha into English. Balutha into English. Jhutan is a work by which Dalit writer? Jhutan. Jothan. Jhutan is a work by which writer? Jhutan is a work by Om Prakash Valmiki. Om Prakash Valmiki. Okay. Om Prakash Valmiki. In which year the God of Small Things got the Man Booker Prize of Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things? In which year the God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy got the Man Booker Prize? 1998, 1997, 1999, or 1995? The year that the God of Small Things won the Man Booker Prize is 1997. 1997 is the right answer. Okay. 1997 is the right answer. Chaucer, for the first time, in which work had introduced Ottava Rima? Chaucer, for the first time, had introduced in his work Ottava Rima. Ottava Rima is having total 8 lines, having the rhyming scheme that is ABA, BAB, CC. Exactly. ABA, BAB, CC. And Ottava Rima was for the first time used by Chaucer in the Book of Duchess. That was on the death of John of Gaunt, the wife of John of Gaunt, his patron's wife. On the death of Blanche, the Book of Duchess, where for the first time he has used Ottava Rima. Ottava Rima has total 8 lines: ABA, BAB, CC. Okay. And in which year for the first time Chaucer has used rhyme royal? Rhyme royal was for the first time Chaucer used in which year? In which work? It is that is Troilus and Cressida. Troilus and Cressida. In that work, for the first time, Chaucer has used rhyme royal, and having the rhyming scheme AB, अच्छा, AB BCC, yeah, AB BCC, AB BCC, and Spencer and stanza AB BC C. AB BC C. Spencer and stanza. Total 9 iambic pentameter, 8 iambic pentameter, and last one is hexameter. Alexandrian meter. Alexandrian hexameter. AB BCC, that is rhyme royal. ABA BAB CC, that is the Ottava Rima, and AB BC C, that is the your Spencer and stanza. Okay. Seyfarth's calendar was written by whom? Seyfarth's calendar Was written by whom and in which year it was published? Shepherd's Calendar was published in, and how many eclogues were there? It has total 12 eclogues representing 12 months, isn't it? Shepherd's Calendar was published in which year Shepherd's Calendar published? 1570. Which one? Bolo. Shepherd's Calendar has 12 eclogues, isn't it? It has 12 eclogues published in 1579. Shepherd's Calendar has total 12 eclogues representing 12 months of a year and heavily influenced by Virgil's eclogues. Virgil's eclogues had influenced Spencer to write Shepherd's Calendar. There is also a collection by James Hogg called Shepherd's Calendar. It is a collection of James Hogg's of 21 articles, most of which were appeared in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine. Okay. Clear? It has total 12 eclogues. And each eclogue is named after a different month. What is the time span of Anglo-Norman period? What is the time span of Anglo-Norman period? That is from 1066 to 1340. Middle English period is from 1060 to 1500. Within Middle English period, we have three periods. One is the Anglo-Norman period from 1066 to 1340. From 1340 to 1400, that is actually our Chaucerian period, and 1400 to 1550 or 1500, that is the Barren period or the medieval period. Because why it is barren period? Because no such good literature was produced during that time. That's why it is known as barren period. Okay. That's why it is known as barren period. Now tell me, text is autotelic. It is self-content. Which theorist or which school of theorists gave this, that text is autotelic, it is self-content? Which theory or which school of theorists gave this concept? Text is autotelic, it is self-content. It is self-content. So it is actually the new critic. The new critic has given the concept like that: text is autotelic, it is self-content. Within the text there is everything. Okay, close reading is needed in order to understand the text. So it was the movement got its name after the publications of John Crow Random's work, that is New Criticism, in 1942, like that, 1941 and 1942. The movement got its name. But before that, it was I.A. Richards was also saying the same thing, but he didn't name it as New Critics. Rather, he has given the term called practical criticism. And I.A. Richards was heavily influenced by the concepts of Henry James' theory of impersonality, as well as the concepts of T.S. Eliot's, that is objective correlative, and theory of impersonality was also in tradition and individual and talent. These two works of T.S. Eliot, objective correlative Hamlet in its problems, and tradition and individual talent, the theory of impersonality, and Henry James' theory of impersonality had influenced I. Richards. What happened? There is a story. One day, I. Richards gave a poem to his students and talked and told them to analyze that poem. To analyze that poem. Without so what happened? He even did not give any information, any biographical information or any title. So without providing any biographical information, that is who has written the poem, what is the name of the full title of the poem or anything, so he has not given anything. Only the poem was given to the student and told them to go home and analyze that poem. And when the students came next day and when they started to analyze that poem, explain that poem, the students were actually analyzing in a different way. Their ways of explanation, their ways of analysis of that particular poem were very different. They were very different from each other. So here again, I. Richards was talking about that away from biographical criticism. So new criticism was a reaction against the biographical criticism. That's why they are saying that close reading is needed in order to understand a text. Close reading is needed in order to understand a text. A text is autotelic. Within the text there is everything. So I. Richards did not give the name new critics, rather he gave practical criticism. And after that, J. A. Spingarn, for the first time it was Spingarn, J. A. Spingarn. This question was asked in MP set this year. It was J. A. Spingarn for the first time has used the term, the phrase new critics. For the first time, the term was used by whom? J. E. Spingarn in his lectures, probably 1910, like that. But the movement got its name after the publication of that work by John Crow Ransom. That is, the name of the work is called New Criticism. So this is the whole story of New Criticism. And this work was published in which year? New Criticism, the book was published in which year? Tell me, 1941 or 1942? In which year the New Criticism was published, the book? Tell me. And who were the main proponents of New Critics? We have I. A. Richards, we have John Crow Ransom, we have Clint Brooks, we have William Winget and Mundo Beardsley. They are the main proponents of New Critics. Clear? And New Critics is actually a part of formalist critic. Okay. Now the next question is, your next question is, a thing of beauty. A thing of beauty is joy forever. This line is from which work of John Keats? Do like the session? Why are not you liking the session? Are not you enjoying the session, the free session here? Keep sharing. Do like. And make sure to subscribe the channel as well. A thing of beauty is joy forever. This is This line appears in Keats' Endymion. Okay, a thing of beauty is joy forever. This line appear in Keats' Endymion, isn't it? He is a citizen of no mean city. He is a citizen of no mean city. Is an example of which kind of figure of speech? He is a citizen of no mean city. He is a citizen of no mean city. It's an example of no mean city. That is Litotes. That is Litotes. Whose poems are said as like, my poems are not about violence but vitality. My poems are not about violence but vitality. Who spoke this line? Husband of Sylvia Plath. My poems are not about violence but about what? But about vitality. It is Ted Hughes. It is Ted Hughes. Who wrote The Hungry Tide, the famous novel Hungry Tide? Hungry Tide is a work by whom? Hungry Tide is a work by whom? Hungry Tide is a work by Amitabh Ghosh. It's the fourth novel, isn't it? It's the fourth novel by Amitabh Ghosh, Hungry Tide. That is said in the island of Sundarban. That is said in the island of Sundarban. It's Trideep. It's about the story of Piali Roy. The main character is Piali Roy. Hungry Tide. Shadowland is about the Trideep. Hungry Tide here, it's about the story of Piali Roy, who is a marine biologist, a young marine biologist of Bengali Indian descent, but identifying as stubbornly American. Piali Roy is the main protagonist of Hungry Tide, set in Sundarban. Who is the translator here? Who is the translator here? Do you remember the translator? Fakir. No, sorry. Fakir is not the. Kanchan Das is the translator. Pia, that is Fiali Roy, engages Fakir to help with the research, and Fiali finds a translator named Kanai. The translator, Fakir was an illiterate person. What Fakir was saying, it was Kanai was translating to Fiali Roy. That's why this novel by Amitabh Ghosh is very important. What is the time span of Anglo-Norman period? What is the time span of Anglo-Norman period? So, after the War of Hastings, that is also known as Norman Conquest, in 1066, the last king, the Harold Godwinson, was defeated by William the Conqueror of Normandy. And when the Roman conquest took place, from that time, from that time, Anglo-Norman period started. That is from 1066 to 1340. And in that Anglo-Norman period, we find that French became the language of aristocratic people, and Latin became also, because of the Latin also was blended. Anyway, it was French that was used by the upper class people, and the common people, the poor people, they were actually using the old English language. A.D. Howe is A.D. Howe is an American writer, Australian writer, African writer. A.D. Howe is an Australian writer. Which one is the first tale in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales? Chaucer's Canterbury Tales का फर्स्ट टेल कौन सा है? The Knight's Tale. Okay. And the last tale is Parson's Tale. The last tale is Parson's Tale. Okay. That is in prose. That is in prose. Who wrote the well-wrought urn? Who wrote the work the well-wrought urn? Which new critic had written the work the well-wrought urn? The title has been taken from John Donne's canonization, the well-wrought urn. Here, the well-wrought urn was written by whom? It is Clint Brooks. Exactly. Clint Brooks has written the well-wrought urn. Exactly, Bhavani. Very good. And the title has been taken from John Donne's canonization. And the name of the book is, at the opening line of that book is, for God's sake, hold your tongue and let me laugh. Table Talk is a collection of essays written by whom? Table Talk is a collection of essays written by whom? Table Talk is a collection of essays written by whom? It was written by Table Talk. It was written by William Hazlitt with Lee Hunt. The Bach poems, very important question. BOG, Bach poem. The Bach poems is associated with which writer? Very, very important questions. Okay, Bach poems. BOG. The Bach poems are associated with which writer? BOG, Bach poems. With which writer? I am giving a clue, Irish writer. I am giving a clue, Irish writer. Bach poems. BOG, Bach poems. Giving a clue that Irish writer. North Bok poems. That is actually Simas Heni. Simas Heni. Bok poems are associated with Simas Heni. And Simas Heni, in which year Simas Heni got the Nobel Prize? You tell me. In which year Simas Heni got the Nobel Prize? In which year got Simas Heni got the Nobel Prize? It is 1995. Simas Heni got the Nobel Prize in the year 1995. His works are like Death of a Naturalist, Door into the Dark, Wintering Night, Stations, The Hall Lantern, Seeing Things, The Spirit Level. These are important poetry. And Seamus Heaney has also written two famous plays. One is The Cure at Troy, The Burial at Thebes. The Cure at Troy. Another one is the Burial at Thebes. These are two plays by Seamus Heaney, the Irish dramatist, okay, who got a Nobel Prize in the year 1995. The Cure at Troy. Clear now? The Cure at Troy and the Burial at Thebes. And even he has also written an essay called Finders Keepers Selected Prose. Finders Keepers Selected Prose by Seamus Heaney. Clear now? Chalo. Who wrote Bingo? Bingo is a play. Bingo is a play by whom? Bingo is a play by whom? Having the subtitle Sins of Money and Death. Sins of Money and Death is the subtitle of this work, and it is depicting an aging William Shakespeare at his Warwickshire home in 1615 and 1616, suffering pangs of conscience in part. Bingo, Sins of Money and Death is a work by whom? Where this work is depicting an aging William Shakespeare at his Warwickshire home in 1615 and 1616, suffering pangs of conscience in part because he had signed a contract which protected his land holdings on the condition that he would not interfere with an enclosure of common lands that would hurt the local peasant farmers. Bingo. Its subtitle is very important. Sins of Money and Death is by Edward Bond. Edward Bond has written Bingo, published in 1973. English playwright, theatre director, poet. Bingo. That is Edward Bond. He has written some 50 plays. Bingo's writers, Sins of Money and Death. Here, Edward Bond has written some 50 plays. Among them, Saved, Saved is also an important work. Saved, Saved is also an important work. Then, Restoration, Saved, The Fool, The Sea, Only Lear, published 1971. Narrow Road to Deep North. Even he has also written the War Trilogy. Edward Bond has written Narrow Road to the Deep North, then Bingo, Restoration, The Fool, The Sea, Lear, and even he has written War Trilogy. These are important works by Edward Bond, the English playwright. And in that war trilogy, the works, the three works that are in that war trilogy or the war plays are Red, Black, and Ignorant, the Tin Can People, and the Great Peace. Red, Black, Ignorant, the Tin Can People, and Great Peace. These are important war plays by whom? By Edward Bond, that war trilogy. Edward Bond's work, and even the work Lear by Edward Bond. It's a rewrite of Shakespeare's King Lear. This work was published in 1971. Published in 1971. Lear. The Life and Death of Mr. Bradman was written by whom? The Life and Death of Mr. Bradman was written by whom? It's none other than Milton has written. Now, T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land was dedicated to whom? T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land was dedicated to whom? Il Miglior Fabbro, that is better craftsman. To whom it was dedicated? It was dedicated to do answer. It was dedicated to whom? Option Ezra Pound, Virginia Woolf. So it was dedicated to Ezra Pound, the better craftsman. Okay. A stanza of 8 iambic pentameter is known as what? Rhyme royal, Ottawa rima, Spenserian stanza. A stanza of 8 iambic pentameter. A stanza of 8 iambic pentameter is known as what? Again, it's Ottawa rima. Again, it's Ottawa rima. The Old Bachelor is a work by whom? Which restoration dramatist has written The Old Bachelor? The Old Bachelor was written by whom? It's by the famous restoration dramatist William Congreve. The Old Bachelor. Famous work, The Way of the World, published in 1700. The Old Bachelor was the first play, the debut play by William Congreve. Who is the old bachelor? It's Hartwell, a surly old bachelor pretending to slight women who falls in love with Sylvia. So here the old bachelor, who is old bachelor? Here the title of old bachelor is actually Hartwell. He is a surly old bachelor who is pretending to slight women who falls in love with Sylvia. And this is the first play by William Congreve, The Old Bachelor. The old bachelor. Okay. The morning bride is a work by whom? The morning bride is a work by whom? The morning bride is a work by whom? The morning bride. It's a tragedy. Written by whom? William Congreve. William Congreve has written the tragedy even called The Morning Bride. Remember that. Congreve has also written a tragedy named as The Morning Bride. The term omanism was coined by whom? The term omanism was coined by whom? The term omanism was coined by whom? It's Alice Walker. It's Alice Walker. Okay. Alice Walker has coined has coined the phrase omanism. Hmm. What is peripathia? Peripathia means reversal of fortune. Reversal of fortune. Reversal of fortune. Okay. I'll be ending the session here. Thank you. Do like the session and share with your friends. Make sure to subscribe the channel. And good night. And see you tomorrow once again. Thank you. Let's end it here. Okay.